Successful people who got crappy grades in high school or college, what are you doing now and how did your grades affect your success career? Barely passed high school. Got kicked out of university second year in. Always had trouble focusing and generally just don't enjoy the monotony and wasteful nature of time spent at school. Worked in a mall for 5 years. Was completely effed with 10k in CC debt and 15-20k on my student line of credit, making 30k a year in Vancouver. 1.2k a month in rent. Was a very low point. I remember being rejected by a girl because she did not want to date someone working at a clothing store in their mid-20s. Really hurt. Started a small business on the side promoting punk shows. Grew the business into owning a nightclub in a few years. Sold the nightclub. Used the business experience from that to get myself a very good 150k a year sales job that has nothing to do with the bar business. I'm really not a smart guy, in the way that science and abstract math shuts down my brain. But without sounding self-centered, I do think I have a somewhat natural talent for people management. Also, at least in my current job, being an education outsider really helps. When everyone in a room is Ivy League, having a more unrefined approach has been beneficial, I think, to our company. But I also had to brand it as such. First few months were hard, but I pressed on in ways I knew I would be successful in, and ultimately my results spoke for themselves. Now in the company I'm known as an out-of-the-box thinker, which in my head I just laugh off as being the only one in management who was ever poor, and probably for generations with some of those guys, lol. My teachers told me I'd never get paid to sit there and stare out a window. I'm one of the top respected truck drivers at work, and people often come to me for advice and help, whether it be laws, permits, how to do something, or practical help on chaining or tying down. They said the same to me, and I'm now a pilot. Dropped out of high school, got my GED, tried college but realized it just wasn't for me. I joined the US Army, and while I was enlisted I realized that I'm just going to have to figure my own way because I can't stand school. So I made my own way, learned to code 25 years ago and have done very well for myself. My brother has a similar story, but he didn't even bother trying college. He's followed his dreams and made successful careers out of his hobbies. Just because school doesn't work out for you, don't think less of yourself and don't underestimate your value. I got fairly bad grades in high school. My guidance counselor told me to join the army and be an infantry soldier because I'd never go to university, college, or be successful. I ended up getting a BA and now I'm an ESL teacher. Currently looking at options to get fully certified and step up the teaching game. The secret is crime. I was a really bad student in high school, but managed to pass. In college, grad school, I think what helped me do a lot better was the fact that my parents weren't involved. I am 100% a believer of this. My parents were involved in my work all the time, making me tell them about my tests, quizzes, projects so that they'd always know to ask about my grade in it later. They always knew. One stretch of time in 8th grade, I remember just going F it and not telling them anything. After one mo or so, my dad called the teacher and she told him all my test grades, all of which were in the B range. A lot better than usual. At the time, there was no acknowledgement of being impressed with my independent performance. The big issue was that I never told them about these tests grades. That was the takeaway from that. My parents always made it sound like a threat that when I finally went to college, they wouldn't be able to monitor my studies. And at the time, it was scary, but in reality, it was great. I made honors 3 times, each level of school, all without my parents breathing down my neck. Now I work in a hospital. Got tired of high school, so I quit and did different jobs. In my mid-20s I started doing web design courses and found out I really loved it. Used all my savings, and got some help from my mom, to put life on hold for a few years and went to finish my high school degree, start college and get my degree to become a web designer. At 29 I got a permanent job at the place I interned and get to do design work and front-end development in a small web agency, and I love it. I almost failed my last year of high school. I have no idea how, but I managed to pass, lol. I'll always have a little resentment for this. My parents forced me to go to college and I didn't even know what I wanted to do. I enjoyed animating at the time. I just didn't know if I wanted that as a career. The only class I thoroughly enjoyed was drama. I liked acting. I was in all the school plays, so I went with trying to become a teacher to teach that course. It went alright until my YouTube channel was doing good. My animations were skyrocketing and I realized I wanted to that instead of school. But my idiot mind didn't handle it well. Then I got kicked out of university at my second year. So I spent a long time animating. Then my channel got shut down for no reason. F you YouTube. Then my fiancé left me after that. I was in a dark place for a long time. But out of the blue my buddy asked me if I wanted a job in a components shop for Aviation. They said they needed an idiot to wash parts and I wasn't working. I needed money, so I was like yeah, and I showed up the next day. I showed up an hour early regularly. I was genuinely interested in what was going on. I think both my manager and my boss noticed. I liked being there. I think my first week there as a temporary employee I did overtime. Like on a Friday I worked till 9 lol. So they obviously saw I was a brand new ace in the hole. After 4 months they hired me full time and now they are sending me to school. I got my level 1 AIM license done and I'll be going for level 2 next January. It became a dream job after I arrived and I'm so happy to be where I'm at. My grades didn't matter. They just saw I was a hard worker. And now, I have my life together again. Did very well in high school but sucked pretty hard in college. My HS grades got me a military scholarship that had very forgiving standards to keep. Today I'm an airline captain and a military pilot with a 2-something college GPA. I just can't math that good. See, I was the opposite. Terrible in high school. Barely passed pretty much all my classes. Had to read the grade 11 math course I failed and upgrade grade 12 math course. It was too low to apply for even the worst universities around, but something after high school flipped a switch. I got 99%. One question wrong all semester. When I upgraded my grade 12 math and then took university very seriously and ended up finishing with a 3.3 GPA. I didn't study for a test until university. You know how terrible I was at math during school? Well, I work in analytics now and am now senior strategy analyst for a $5 billion market cap company and have a nice comfortable life. Turns out I'm not bad at math. I'm bad at quick math and paying attention in a classroom setting. Give me motivation and self-learning. Google. And I'm actually pretty good at learning things, it seems. I was a C student because I would ace the exams, but barely do any homework or show up for class. I was poor and had to work a lot, so I only did enough schoolwork to know that I understood the material. Most of my teachers loved me because they knew I understood the material and would help explain it to other students who were struggling. Now I work in software development. I only work for causes I believe in, and with people I like. I make decent money and am financially secure with no debt and with decent retirement savings. I recently took 6 months off before the pandemic just to relax for a bit. I had planned for a year, but when the pandemic hit, I decided I should go back to work not knowing where the economy would be by the end of the year. I had a job offer the next day. My grades in high school mattered a little. I got rejected to my college of choice and had to argue my way in. My grades in college didn't matter at all. I got a job through my alumni network. After your first job, no one cares about your GPA. I never even finished my degree. I did really badly in school. I hated it because I struggled with maths and with writing. I had good ideas but couldn't seem to get them onto the paper. I left school and worked in a shop, then I joined an acting class and eventually got into drama school in London. Learned to touch type as a way of writing comedy sketches, did well. Now I'm a professional writer. Turns out I have dysgraphia and dyscalculia. Took me 15 years to work that out. I did very poorly in high school and dropped out of college. I am now the telecommunications manager of a very successful company who specialize in fiber optic engineering. Yes, I'm involved in 5G and electrical engineering. Essentially, I got extremely lucky. I was working in a machine shop doing manual labor all day every day until a buddy of mine who was going to school for drafting at the time started talking to me about how he got this job as a drafter. I was interested, needless to say. I was on a bad path and wasn't going anywhere in life. He trained me in the ways of mechanical drafting and engineering. Ended up picking it up quickly and getting the same job he did. Years later I quit and started as an AutoCAD drafter at a local telecom company. Raised in the ranks to an executive level over there. Left and started a partnership with an electrical company to start their telecom division. Now here I am, All of this to say, you don't have to go to college to make good money and be successful. That term is subjective anyways. Success is all about how you see it and what you value in life. TLDR, if you don't like school, learn a trade and work hard at it. I was a gifted kid in high school. Slept through classes and got a 3.96. Struggled in college due to lack of study skills. Barely graduated. First job was incredibly hard to get. With no experience they look at GPA. If you are under a 3.5 or even a 3, don't even apply. After getting work history it no longer mattered. Graduated. Moved up fast working for Amazon. Got diagnosed with 2 autoimmune diseases. Pretty much do side jobs now for bank. So I'm doing okay. High school was all about homework. Like I had a lot of classes that 80% of your grade came from homework, and I am not a fan of busy work. If you teach it to me in class and I can repeat it back in classwork, I do not need more to take home. But in college it's almost reverse where most of your grade comes from test scores. Thankfully I don't have test anxiety so I tend to do fairly well on tests, got my LPN and will have graduated the RN program by Christmas. I think most people would say I'm fairly successful in that I have a prestigious job as an executive and have had nice upward trajectory professionally throughout my career. I didn't do terribly in school, but I was like a C+ student overall. I definitely missed out on some opportunities due to poor grades, which was entirely my fault due to lack of studying, and I could have had a richer and more meaningful educational experience if I'd worked harder. But the truth is that I have a lot of unfair advantages in life and it hasn't mattered all that much in terms of material well-being. Being a smartish white man in the US just makes things so much easier. My privilege made it easy to slack off and not worry too much about whether I'd be okay. I wasn't raised rich or anything, so I couldn't fail out of school. But I kind of only had to do the minimum to pass and things would work out. It has taken me a while to realize how impactful those external factors of my own privileges have been. And it isn't pleasant to realize, but that's the truth.